Now say this out loud as you're driving around in your car.
Join Sports Skillet.
This what it feels like.
So how do you like it?
So what is it? I'm curious.
You like it like this?
My God, do we love football.
Or like this?
I love the sport of baseball.
And what about this?
You can have a sports show without all the vicious talk.
Simple human decency.
Whatever it is that you like.
Yeah, I like chaos.
We've got it covered.
Right?
It's sports the way you like it.
My friends, you may not know this. It's got everything you want.
Here we go. Local and national sports talk that's fresh, in season, and FDA approved. If it's hot, you'll find it cooking with Jeff, Jay, and Kelly. They don't just stir the pot, they add more flavor than the other guys. Get ready to dig in and taste some Sports Skillet.
Ooh, tastes good.
Right now.
And welcome once again to the Friday live stream here on the Sports Skillet Radio YouTube channel. Thank you for joining us. Lots to dig into, lots to discuss on today's show. And we're going to kick it off. I am Jay, and I've got Jeff Scott in the studio, Mike Nebbia joining us as well. And we've got an awesome show lined up for you. We're going to be joined shortly by Ken Moskowitz, our weekly caller, and Phillies and Eagles and Philadelphia contributor to the show. Always enjoy talking to Ken. So we got Ken coming up in a little bit. But now we're going to start things off. I got Mike in the studio, so I want to get Mike's opinion on a lot of stuff. We're going to have Mike's article posted on our website, sportsskilletradio.com, and on our social media outlets, so we want you to go and take a look at that as well. Mike, in the article, you discuss the new Giants quarterback, Daniel Jones. So, he had his first game last Sunday. What did you think of Daniel Jones?
Well, I had my reservations about him when he was drafted. I was hoping they would get the Jersey boy, Dwayne Haskins. But after Sunday's game against Tampa Bay, all those reservations went out the window. He did fine. He showed his speed. He showed his aggression and his field awareness. Went 23 of 36. Rushed for 2 touchdowns. Passed for 2 touchdowns. He was adept at finding the open man. Reminded me a lot of Eli in his prime. I think the Giants have found their guy in Daniel Jones. I'm excited to see what more he can show this coming Sunday.
I think so too, because looking at Daniel Jones, I think it's a breath of fresh air for the Giants right now, because you had the old kind of past his prime Eli Manning not getting the job done, and I think just putting Daniel Jones in there elicited a spark, not only from the Giants, but from their fan base too. Did you sense the same thing last week?
I did, but at the same time, the jury was still out because there were mixed reactions. There were some fans that still wanted Eli, but there were also fans that welcomed the change. I saw that story on WABC, Channel 7, one of the ABC affiliates in my area.
Yeah.
There were fans that welcomed the change. There were fans that didn't welcome the change, that wanted Eli because they were so used to Eli, and that thanked Eli for the 2 Super Bowls and wanted to see him get one more before he retired.
Yeah, it would have been nice. I mean, you know, it would have been interesting to see Eli get another Super Bowl and, you know, pass his brother and all that. But
I think that's what he wants to do.
Yeah.
He wants to surpass his big brother, something that he never did in the games that they played against each other.
I agree. And I think now, I don't know what the future is for Eli going forward, because you know, he's not going to get his job back, barring injury, from Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones is now the Giants quarterback, is now the Giants franchise QB, and I don't see Eli getting his job back, barring an injury. So what do you think going forward will be the future for Eli Manning? Do you think he will retire at the end of the season? Do you think he will look to move on to another team? What do you think is the future going forward for Eli?
I think he might just move forward to another team like Kurt Warner did once Eli got slotted in. Remember, Kurt Warner was signed away from the Rams as the veteran leader the season that Eli got slotted in. Then, after Eli got slotted in, he moved on to the Cardinals, where he nearly got one more Super Bowl until Ben Roethlisberger and the Steelers thwarted that plan. So, I think that Eli may just move on to another team to get that one last Super Bowl if the Giants don't get it this year.
That I wouldn't bet against it, but I look at the teams around the NFL right now. I don't know if there's a perfect fit for Eli.
Jacksonville, maybe?
Yeah,
Tom Coughlin?
but they
Reunion with
signed.
Tom Coughlin?
But they signed Nick Foles to a mega deal, so they are putting all their trust and all their money into Nick Foles. So I don't see Eli going to the Jags to be a backup to Nick Foles, because they're not, and the only thing wrong with Nick Foles is he's got a broken clavicle. He's waiting for that to heal, and then he'll be back as the Jags starting QB. And from what I saw last week, Jags seem to have a pretty good backup, at least for one game. We'll see how he does, going forward this week. But I don't know if it's the Jags are a good fit. I mean, Tom Coughlin is. You would think with Tom Coughlin there, but with the Jags having spent money on Nick, I don't know that the Jags would be a good fit for Eli.
Another idea I had in mind was, why not go where his brother played, Indianapolis?
That's a possibility too. Depending on how Jacoby Brissett does the rest of the season, they might be looking for a nice veteran quarterback. And they have a good head coach, former Eagles offensive coordinator there, to maybe milk an extra season out of Eli. So, yeah, the Colts could be in that talking point about getting Eli. Depending on how Brissett does this year, if Brissett struggles a bit and the Colts don't win the division, or there's issues there, because the Colts are in kind of a win-now mode. They know that they can go out and, with a quality quarterback, have the ability to go out and win the division. So, yeah, that might be a good fit for Eli. I could see maybe if the Colts want that veteran quarterback in there, and then he could once again, get one more year out of him, and he could groom whomever the Colts have, as their backup quarterback if Brissett doesn't work out this year. That's a good call. I could see him going there. But outside of that, it's either teams have their franchise quarterback or they're looking to the draft, because this year's draft could have a bunch of quarterbacks coming out of it, a bunch of guys that could be considered a franchise QB. So any team that, like the Miami Dolphins, that's tanking this year and fails to make the playoffs, could be in the market for one of these young quarterbacks that are going to be coming out of college this year. So, I don't know. It could be the Colts.
Could be the Broncos, where his brother also played.
Yeah, Flacco doesn't work out. That's a possibility too.
But I don't think Eli would want to live in his brother's shadow. That's the thing, though.
That's true. So this week we got a big game coming up with the Giants. They are hosting the Washington Redskins. I'm anticipating, with Washington looking as mediocre to bad as they've been looking this year, they are currently 0-3. They're not looking like they're going to compete for a playoff spot. They are not looking like a wild card team by any stretch of the imagination. Giants are hosting them at 1 o'clock this Sunday. What do you see for the Giants and their new quarterback this coming Sunday?
Daniel Jones is going to go off against Dwayne Haskins. He is going to pick apart the Redskins defense like there's no tomorrow. I see a blowout in the Giants' future, 45-10.
Really? Going that high for the Giants?
Yeah, 45-10. Jones passes for 300 yards, two rushing touchdowns, and 3 passing touchdowns.
Interesting.
And the NYPD, New York Pass Defense, comes up big.
I like that. I like that terminology, NYPD. Now, there is a little bit of bad news regarding the Giants because apparently they will be without their all-star, all-pro caliber running back for a little while. I think
Saquon Barkley out 4 to 6 weeks, ankle injury.
Yes. So how do you see that impacting the Giants? You know, they're probably going to get a couple in the interim. They'll get probably some players back. I believe Golden Tate will be coming back before Saquon Barkley. So you're going to get Golden Tate, the wide receiver, back. But how do you think that impacts the strategy for the Giants? Because now they don't have Saquon to kind of lean on.
They won't be relying on the run game too much because I am not sold on their backup. They're going to be relying on the pass with Daniel Jones and the replace Giants. I can't say replacements because that only worked with the Mets.
Yes. And speaking of those New York Mets, they are currently, one game ahead of the Philadelphia Phillies.
Sticking by your prediction that the Mets will finish ahead of the Phillies?
Absolutely. The Phillies just tanked in Washington, D.C., did not win a game at all. You can see, you can sense, you can see the Phillies are just playing out the string. They have the Florida Marlins coming in this weekend to close out the series. The Phillies are going to have Fan Appreciation Day on Sunday, and they better thank the fans, any fans that show up for these games this weekend, because any fan that shows up at Citizens Bank Park this weekend deserve to be thanked for coming out and supporting the Phillies through this mess of a season that the Phillies have just undergone. But I sense that with the Mets, there is more optimism amongst the Mets because they're going to get some injured players back next year, which will make, like Cespedes, will be back next year for the Mets. So they're going to have they should have a better offense. We know that I believe they have the starting pitching to compete in the division. Now, what they do with the closer position, that's something that they'll have to iron out, because I don't know about you, but I'm not sold on the Mets closer. He needs probably to go. But so what do you think the Mets will do this offseason, Mike?
First up, they need to re-sign Zach Wheeler. He's set to come off the books after this season. At least make him a qualifying offer so you can get a draft pick out of it in case he signs elsewhere. I hear Atlanta's interested in him. I hear the Dodgers are interested in him. The Yankees are interested in him. But make him a qualifying offer. If not, sign him during the offseason. Then you need to work out the kinks with Noah Syndergaard. He's had a lot of trouble this season, especially with his personal catcher, Tomas Nido. He wanted his personal catcher, Tomas Nido, during the season. He got Rene Rivera and Wilson Ramos instead. That's why he had a drop-off in production this year. Get him Nido whenever he starts. Then you gotta fix Edwin Diaz. He's had, 34 saves this year. He's blown 15 save opportunities. Without those blown saves, Mets are in the playoffs. Fix Edwin Diaz, whatever you do.
Yeah, and
then get a new manager. I cannot stand Callaway, despite the improvement he made this year. Mets are looking at 87 wins, a stark improvement from 77 a year ago. 10-win improvement. That's all well and good, Callaway, but you should have gotten the Mets into the playoffs this year. You didn't do it. You're done. Girardi 2020, anyone?
Yeah, it could be. I think, here's the thing with Girardi. I think he will be in demand this offseason because you're saying you want Mickey Callaway out of there, and he could go. The Phillies hopefully by this time next week when we're doing our live stream, we'll have fired Gabe Kapler. And who knows how far up that's going to go, because the Phillies could fire their GM and their team president as well. So
Fire sale and upper management?
So, yeah, it could be a total blowout on Monday. The Phillies play their final game Sunday afternoon. And after that game, pretty much everything is on the table. We had the Phillies management. You had the team owner, John Middleton. You had Clintack and the president. They were all in Washington, and the team owner, John Middleton, got to watch the debacle in Washington firsthand. So, he was displeased and probably angered and frustrated with the way that series went. So, he's a guy that many people have compared to George Steinbrenner in wanting to win and wanting to bring a World Series trophy back to Philadelphia. So, he's upset with the way this season has undergone with the Phillies. So, he might do a whole clean sweep with the front office. President, GM, and manager may all go.
So you're basically saying by Monday there's going to be job openings.
Yes.
By Monday, everyone in the Phillies organization is going to get impeached.
Yeah, and
I don't know, guys. What do you think? You think I have a shot? I think general manager is good for me.
Yeah, you could run. I'm sure you could. You couldn't do any worse than Clintack.
I've already been saying the Philly Fanatic should be the coach of the team because I think he'd do a better job, really.
Than Kapler? Yeah, he probably would.
Jeff Scott for Phillies manager? Hey, I'll be your running mate.
Okay, I'm all set.
Yeah, you got manager, bench coach. How about that?
Jobs for everybody. I need a water boy. Jay, you up for it?
Scott?
Yeah,
Scott Naviga 2020.
There you go.
There you go.
Coach,
Let's do this,
Phillies
guys.
manager and bench coach.
Yeah, but
Hashtag Sports Skillet for Philly management.
Yes.
Although I'd rather be Mets manager, to be honest with you, because I'm a Mets fan. But
what
are you gonna do, huh?
And that's what I'm saying is that
Jeff and I would have a conflict right off the get-go.
And what would that conflict be?
No, we wouldn't.
Me as Mets fan and Jeff as Phillies. So
well, I never said I was a Phillies fan. I just said I could do a better job than they could.
Anyone could do a better job than Kapler.
Yes.
Let's be clear.
Yeah, and this 2 years in a row for Kapler tanking. So, he's probably gone. It's just how far up it's going to go. Clintack doubled down on Gabe Kapler as his guy, about a week ago on a podcast. So,
I feel bad for the guy. Like, what do you put on your resume? Yeah, I was the Phillies coach, but I ran him into the ground.
Yeah, that's what.
Oops.
The fact that you got to be a manager makes your resume pretty good to begin with, but
if they lose, what
yeah,
kind of managers that saying you are?
Exactly.
Say you're Sam Hinkie.
Hey, Sam Hinkie's my guy. I love Sam. He is the man in Philadelphia.
But he never got to see the process through.
Exactly.
He got ousted for Colangelo.
Yes, and that was not a good situation at all. I would rather Hinkie had stayed around and saw it through, because the Colangelos just about wrecked the Sixers while they were in charge. Going back, there could be an opening for a manager on the Mets. Could be an opening for a manager on the Phillies. Might even be an opening for a GM or president. So within the NL East, already you got two openings. You're going to get
possibly a third with Miami.
But Mattingly maybe, depending on which way Jeter wants to go. Mattingly could be like
Mattingly's a former Yankee. Jeter's a former Yankee, so Jeter might stay with his old guard.
Yeah, and he wasn't expecting the Marlins to contend for anything this year, so he might just keep Mattingly around just because Mattingly doesn't cause waves or upset the apple cart. He's an easygoing guy, so
he's a former Yankee, so Jeter might just stick with his old Yankee friend.
Yeah, so
that's the kind of guy Derek Jeter is. You make friends with him, you're part of his inner circle, you're good with him.
Yeah. Definitely.
During his playing career, he never cheated, never took steroids. He played fair. He played to the best of his ability every game. He never took a game off. I think he's getting into the Hall of Fame first ballot.
I think he will too. And but getting back to the NL East, you're also going to have the Cubs are going to get rid of their manager.
That's Central.
Yep, but
so Joe Madden would be in demand
as well, because I consider Joe Madden a good manager. Now I have a friend; he's a fervid Cubs fan, lives, breathes, and dies following the Chicago Cubs because he and his wife are from the city of Chicago. He cannot stand the Cubs manager. Wants him gone yesterday. The same way the Phillies are feeling about Kapler and
same way I'm feeling about Callaway.
Yep.
Girardi and Madden kind of remind me of the baseball version of Tom Coughlin, a strict disciplinarian. Don't take failure as an option.
Yeah, and they're good managers. And, Madden, I'm sure, will pop up somewhere because, yes, he had a bad season with the Cubs this year, but before
he's
that...
a World Series champion.
Yep, got to the World... I mean, he's taken...
Got to the World Series, twice? Three
Yep,
times?
and won it with the Cubs. And then got the Tampa Bay Rays with a young, not very expensive payroll. They weren't paying anybody a whole lot of money. Took that team to the World Series. Ended up losing to the Phillies, but getting there, being able to beat Boston and the Yankees, and with young players on his roster. So he's a good manager. He just for whatever reason had a bad season this year with the Cubbies. A lot of people think that he was quote-unquote too cute with his managerial moves, a lot like Kapler, but he would be a different voice, maybe a voice that the Phillies would want to go with because he does use analytics in his thinking, and does some off-the-wall crazy stuff as well to kind of boost things in the clubhouse and keep things light. We'll see where Madden ends up, but you're going to have, when it comes to Girardi, he has a connection to the Cubs. I think possibly the Cubs could be in a position to bid heavily and try and bring back Girardi to Chicago. So they're going to be in a bidding war for Girardi services. The Mets, like you said, if they fire Callaway, they'll probably get in on it.
They're probably going to fire Callaway. No question about that. Callaway's done.
Yep. So the Phillies would be remiss if they didn't do their due diligence on Girardi.
Kapler.
And I think Kapler's gone because you can't bring back Kapler next year with this fan base. They have just so much animosity toward Kapler and Clintack and McPhail. You can't bring back Kapler. You have to let him go. There's 2 years in a row the team is tanked, and he hasn't been able to get anything out of them. And this series that the Phillies just played in Washington just proved that the team has quit on Kapler and is not listening to him. You had the pitchers abandoning their pitching coach. There's a good article on The Athletic right now. Take a look at it. Read it. Very well done about the pitching staff bailing on their pitching coach. So, a good article there. So you can tell the Phillies owner Middleton needs to do a sweep of at least Kapler. He has to go, and then we'll see how far up it goes after this. So right now, when Jeff recovers a little bit, what we're going to do is we're going to take a little bit of a break.
I'm good.
Okay, cool. Just back in the game. I love it.
Sorry, I'm fighting a cold, so that's why you haven't seen me too much. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, and Kelly was fighting the same thing too. So hopefully
it's
both
all
of you.
fault,
It probably is.
I was fighting the urge to make a Phineas and Ferb reference and say, "Where's Perry?"
There.
And I would respond by who?
You haven't seen Phineas and Ferb.
No, I'm old and I like good stuff.
No, Phineas and Ferb could be good.
Can you compare them to Thundercats, Transformers, Silverhawks? Come on, Jay.
Well, this is,
There's a generational gap right here.
Exactly.
I'm just messing with you, Mike. It's a good show. I know that.
It is.
You can't beat the classics.
Yes. But right now what we're going to do is we're going to head into our commercial break. We're going to pay some bills. And then when we come back, we are going to be joined by Ken Moskowitz.
We'll be back after this Sports Skillet timeout.
Have you ever fantasized about playing against a football great? Do you think you have the skills to beat a Hall of Fame quarterback? Well, Sports Skillet is offering a unique opportunity for you. Go up against the legendary Joe Montana. Enter by joining our Pick'em League. Follow us on the Sports Skillet Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and we will send you the link to battle the former 49ers quarterback and receive $1,000 if you come out on top. Remember to tune into the Sports Skillet live stream every Friday afternoon and every Sunday on Fox Sports Radio 920 The Jersey. And check us out on sportsskilletradio.com. Download our app and take us on the go.
Remember the TV show Cheers, where everybody knows your name? Never been there. But every time I walk into Wildflowers restaurant on Pennington Circle, I feel at home and that I belong. Friday night, I headed over to Wildflowers, and even though it was packed, I easily found a seat at the bar and got cozy with 17 TVs. Baseball, golf, entertainment TV, you name it, including all NFL games. The bartender Dave suggested I order the Buffalo Wing Sampler, and you could tell he was a fervent fan. But reviews on Wildflowers Inn Restaurant Facebook page demanded I tried the garbage truck pizza, and Kelly had just arrived and promised to help me dig in. Then it came. Garbage truck pizza does not live up to its name because it smells amazing and it tastes even better. Freshly sliced peppers and pepperoni, garlic, mushrooms, mozzarella, and meatballs all baked on this incredibly crunchy and warm double crust to hold it all together perfectly. Heaven, especially with one of their 23 beers on tap. I'm a believer. Go to wildflowersinrestaurant.com for more info or just come in. They are conveniently located on the Pennington Circle, right near I-95. I promise you, they will welcome you warmly, feed you well, and perhaps soon even know your name. You're listening to the Sports Skillet Radio Show, cooking up all the hot takes. Jump in and join us at 609-919-9200. Download our app at sportsskilletradio.com. Find us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube by searching for Sports Skillet. And remember to show us some love. Like, follow, and share.
And we are back here on the Sports Skillet live stream every Friday afternoon. Thank you for joining us, and we want to encourage you to go to our website, sportsskilletradio.com, download our app so you can listen to our show wherever you may be. And also, we have our social media up there as well, all the latest show updates, great articles from Mike on the website as well. So we want to encourage you to head over to sportsskilletradio.com and also do a search for Sports Skillet on Google or Bing or whatever search engine you want to use, and do a search for Sports Skillet and you'll see all our social media sites, and feel free to chime in and offer up your opinions, because we talk about anything and everything here on the Sports Skillet Radio Show. And now we are going to be bringing into the conversation our good friend Ken Moskowitz, and he joins us every week. Ken, how are you doing today?
How we doing?
We are doing excellent, especially after last night. But before we dive in and get to everything, how can people find you on social media?
Yes, Facebook, Ken Moskowitz, in parenthesis, Crossing Guard Ken. On Instagram and on Twitter, Skywarn Spotter Ken.
Awesome, Ken. So we have Mike in the studio.
Hello.
And
how we doing, Mike?
I'm doing good.
And we also have Jeff Scott as well. So,
my good man, how are you?
I'm hanging in there, Ken. How you doing, buddy?
All right.
Jeff is a little bit sick. We're blaming it on Kelly because
she's an easy target.
She's an easy target. She's not here, and she had
Poor Kelly.
And she had texted me earlier that she was, under the weather this past week, and now Jeff comes in and he's under the weather. So I don't know what's going on here with the Sports Skillet team.
Sunday when she comes in, I'll be like, oh boy.
Well, it is a change. Mind you, the up and down weather too. I mean, look, Wednesday it's going to be roughly 90 degrees, and then what is it, the day after or 2 days after? You'll be lucky if the high reaches 65, if that. So, I mean, it's a good way to get sick.
Oh, yeah.
But otherwise, Kelly, you're listening, feel better, and my good buddy there, Jeff, feel better as well.
Thanks, Ken.
The weather's been like the stock market.
You mean up and
always
down?
up and down, roller coaster.
It is.
Like King
It
College.
is.
Hopefully
I mean, it's a fight between fall and summer, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I hope it
Nice
doesn't
one,
crash.
Ken. Nice one.
Very good one, Ken. Skywarn spotter, Ken, actually, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So we were talking with Mike and Jeff. I want to start off a little bit about the Eagles' rival, the Giants. We were talking with Mike for a while here about the Giants' new quarterback,
Daniel Jones.
They've got a new franchise quarterback. Now, you were at Giants Stadium last week, right? Were the Giants home last week?
No.
They were away, Raymond James Stadium.
They were in Tampa Bay, that's right. But you got to see a little bit of Daniel Jones, I'm sure, Ken. What do you make of the Giants' new starting quarterback?
Well, I'll tell you, I really, because of the fact that I'm, paying attention more with with what's been happening with, that baseball club down in, that originates from South Philly. But I did hear a lot about and see highlights a bit. I mean, look, as I said last week, Daniel, I'll tell you, Daniel, I think, is going to be fine. And fans cannot anticipate him putting up huge numbers. I mean, look, if he does, he does. But you know what? Don't anticipate. Good strategy. Strategic play. Looking to work the offense. Get everybody involved. And of course, the important thing, obviously, too, is staying healthy. So that's, now, I'm hoping that, he does bring a little bit of mobility, into the conversation as far as, Giants offense goes. So, but, look, hey, I mean, look, he looked good. He did look good. I forget what the numbers were on him last week, but I'd like to say he threw for 330, if I'm not mistaken, and maybe with one pick. I'm not sure, Mike.
23 of 36 for 330. I don't think he had any picks.
I don't think he had any picks either.
He had two rushing
okay,
touchdowns,
okay.
2 passing touchdowns.
Yeah. Well, I mean, still, same scenario like we're dealing with Carson. As long as stay healthy, work the offense as much as you can, have that protection, and you'd be good to go. So
I'm actually a little bit, looking into the crystal ball a little bit. I'm actually a little bit concerned about the Eagles' games against the Giants going forward, because with Eli, you kind of anticipated the Eagles were going to have 2 victories over them. But now with Daniel Jones looking as good as he looked last Sunday, it's going to be a little bit more of a dogfight, I think, between the Eagles and the Giants when they lock horns. I like Daniel Jones. I'm kind of I got to see how he's going to do going forward, because it was just one game, and we don't want to put too much emphasis on that. But he did look really good. The one downside is that the Giants lost Saquon Barkley for maybe a month, maybe a little bit over that, as he heals up. So that's going to put a little bit more emphasis, I think, Mike, and maybe you'll agree, on the Giants' passing game. They are probably going to get Golden Tate back relatively soon, because I think his suspension ends within another week or 2.
His suspension ends this week. He'll be back for week 5, so that'll give Daniel Jones another weapon to look forward to.
A very good weapon, by the way. I think the Eagles...
I don't think there's another sure-handed receiver like Golden Tate. Last year, look at Odell Beckham, but he's in Cleveland.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. I mean, the Eagles just, and Ken, I think you'll agree, the Eagles vastly misused Golden Tate when he came to them last season, and Howie Roseman traded for him. They just couldn't fit him in, for whatever reason, they just couldn't fit him into the offense as good as he is, and I think that's going to be a plus for the Giants.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. I mean, I will say, though, let's put a little spin on this, Jay, as far as when we go to meet the Giants. I think it will be a nice competition now that, yes, Daniel Jones has taken over and received the keys in that. But I will say, though, as far as the spin that I'm putting on it now, the way we utilized that running game of ours last night, look, we utilized the running game, which finally came true. Also, but more importantly, though, along with that, we had nice clock management too. That complemented that running game as well, which was to the T, perfect. So I think what we need to do as far as going against the Giants, we got to get up to at least a 14-0 lead, go up by 2 touchdowns at least, and then once we get the ball back, as long as we have that lead, that's the continuation of what we need to do. I think moving forward, let alone the 2 meetings that we have yet to have against the Giants. So I mean, but otherwise, yeah, I mean, look, I could see at least one of those games. I could probably see at least one of those games being, sorry, Mike, a blowout a little bit, a bit of a blowout, not fully, but a semi-blowout. But otherwise, at the same time, too, on the flip side of it, I can also see both games as well being competitive. Both teams being, competitive, at least offensively. Defensively, I still think defensively, I think we have the advantage on paper right now. And look, I like Corey Ballantyne. I like him in training camp. I like him so far with what he's done in the season. I think moving forward, though, he's going to be. I think they'll build around that defense as well. I think, and moving forward. So, but otherwise, right now, I think the competitive. I think there is some type of competitiveness. I do agree with you, Jay, with that. So.
Let me counter you right there, Ken. I see both games being close. Remember, Daniel Jones came back from a 28-10 deficit at halftime against Tampa Bay on Sunday to win that game 35-33. And I see another comeback artist in the Giants' future. Remember that Eli Manning had 34, 35 game-winning drives in the fourth quarter and overtime. I see Daniel Jones in his career mustering more than that. And I think I see him mustering some comeback drives against the Eagles more often than not in his career.
Well, I agree. Let me ask you a question. How mobile was he at Duke? I mean, was he, we've heard it all, about him being practically almost, or just about a spitting image of Eli. But, I mean, was he, unlike Eli, was Daniel mobile at Duke?
He was. I didn't see much of him during his time as Duke quarterback, but he was pretty mobile, especially during his run in the Senior Bowl.
See, that's where I agree with you on the clutch performance part and the comeback part. No, I mean, look, there's no question, and I've said it just recently too, that Eli. There's no 2 ways about it. Yes, when he was in his prime, mind you, Eli, he probably one of the best clutch comeback performance quarterbacks, of at least the last 20-something years, easily.
Especially in both of the Giants'
but
Super
with
Bowl
Daniel,
wins.
though, yes, I could see him with that. But the difference with that, I could see him also, being mobile, getting you that yardage. running out of pocket and then throwing. I could see a little bit more with Daniel Jones, though. And if I were a Giant fan, I'd be expecting a lot more of that, too.
He also kind of reminds me of Russell Wilson in his run game, Daniel Jones does.
Who again? I'm sorry.
Jones kind of also reminds me of Russell Wilson in his...
Oh, right.
These quarterbacks today
no, I agree.
are becoming more mobile, more adept at the run, and more adept at burning you with their arms and their legs. So this is a trend that we're going to see for many more years to come as the quarterback position becomes a more vital position in the offensive game in the NFL.
Yeah.
Now, Ken, while we still have Mike here for a few more minutes here, just want to talk a little Mets with you as well. Phillies tanked in Washington. Mets look like my prediction is going to come through that they're going to finish ahead of the Phillies.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, look, there isn't really much more. I mean, look, I'm going to really be elaborating a lot in the off season on here, in regards to the Phillies and and even a little bit of the Mets too. But look, I agree. I mean, the one difference with both teams, the difference between the two teams, I should say. Look, the Mets managed to put together, and I get it was against mediocre teams, and I get it, but at least they rattled off 15 of 16 wins at one point on a streak. What did the Phillies do?
Absolutely nothing.
Mike said it best.
It was a total zonk, to quote Let's Make a Deal.
Yes, Mike said it best. I like that term. It was a total zonk by the Phillies.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I said, I am looking forward to the off season because I'm anticipating nothing south of quite a bit that Mr. Middleton there needs to do, and that's what I've called already some extreme makeover, house cleaning, or extreme house cleaning. Like you call it a reality show, if you will, but of great proportions, I think, because it really needs to be done. It really needs to be done with the Phillies.
Okay, Ken, I'm going to I'm going to divert a little bit because I know Mike has to leave in a couple minutes, but I want to get Mike's opinion real quick about the NASCAR series that we got going on.
Yes, this Sunday we've got the Charlotte Roval. Last year's race was complete chaos. Came down to the last lap crash between Jimmy Johnson and Martin Truex Jr. Ryan Blaney came out of that with the victory, and expect the guys with road course experience, like Chase Elliott, like Ryan Blaney, to have the upper hand, and I think either Blaney repeats or Elliott gets the win at the Charlotte Roval. That goes off 2 p.m. Eastern over on NBCSN. I'm picking
And which
Blaney.
day is it? Saturday?
Sunday. I'm picking Blaney.
And you're picking Blaney. Okay.
I'm picking Ryan Blaney to win at the Charlotte Roval. And expect complete and utter chaos.
Really? A lot of crashes?
Yeah. It's the Charlotte Roval. It's unpredictable, it's treacherous, and it's all-out mayhem.
That'll get me tuning in. I like chaos and mayhem. So if you're telling me that's what it's going to be, I love chaos and mayhem, so I'll definitely be tuning in.
Watch last year's race first on YouTube. You'll see what I mean.
Gotcha. And what's the race title again?
It's the Bank of America Roval 400.
Bank of America Roval 400. All right, Ken, can you hang on for 2 minutes?
Absolutely.
Okay, we're going to take another quick commercial break, and we'll come back. More Ken Moskowitz, maybe more Jeff Scott going forward. So hang on. We'll be back after this commercial break.
Great. Do you think you have the skills to beat a Hall of Fame quarterback? Well, Sports Skillet is offering a unique opportunity for you. Go up against the legendary Joe Montana. Enter by joining our Pick'em League. Follow us on the Sports Skillet Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and we will send you the link to battle the former 49ers quarterback. and receive $1,000 if you come out on top. Remember to tune into the Sports Skillet live stream every Friday afternoon and every Sunday on Fox Sports Radio 920 The Jersey. And check us out on sportsskilletradio.com. Download our app and take us on the go.
Remember the TV show Cheers, where everybody knows your name? Never been there. But every time I walk into Wildflowers restaurant on Pennington Circle, I feel at home and that I belong. Friday night, I headed over to Wildflowers, and even though it was packed, I easily found a seat at the bar and got cozy with 17 TVs. Baseball, golf, entertainment TV, you name it, including all NFL games. The bartender Dave suggested I order the Buffalo Wing Sampler, and you could tell he was a fervent fan. But reviews on Wildflowers Inn Restaurant Facebook page demanded I tried the garbage truck pizza, and Kelly had just arrived and promised to help me dig in. Then it came. Garbage truck pizza does not live up to its name because it smells amazing and it tastes even better. Freshly sliced peppers and pepperoni, garlic, mushrooms, mozzarella, and meatballs all baked on this incredibly crunchy and warm double crust to hold it all together perfectly. Heaven, especially with one of their 23 beers on tap. I'm a believer. Go to wildflowersinrestaurant.com for more info or just come in. They are conveniently located on the Pennington Circle, right near I-95. I promise you, they will welcome you warmly, feed you well, and perhaps soon even know your name. You're listening to the Sports Skillet Radio Show, cooking up all the hot takes. Jump in and join us at 609-919-9200. Download our app at sportsskilletradio.com. Find us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube by searching for Sports Skillet. And remember to show us some love, like, follow, and share.
And we are back here on the Friday YouTube live stream. We want to thank you for joining us and sticking with us through that commercial timeout. Again, want to encourage you to go to sportskilletradio.com where you can download the app, see some of our social media, check out Mike Nebbia's awesome articles that we post there as well. Got a lot of things going on there. A lot of our YouTube videos are there as well. So we want to encourage you to go there, check out all the good things that we got going on over there at sportskilletradio.com. And again, like, follow, and share. We do this for you guys. So any comments, questions, or anything you got, Please interact with us on our social media sites. We love interacting with you as well. We want to remind you to tune in to our show on Fox Sports Radio 920 The Jersey every Sunday morning at 11 a.m. We bring you great guests, great conversation as well, talking about all the hot issues in the world of sports. And, of course, Jeff is there, and we have Kelly and my brother Jeff, and it's really a fun time. And that's every Sunday morning at 11 a.m. on Fox Sports Radio 920 The Jersey. You can go to our website and listen live, or even better yet, like I said, download our app at sportsskilletradio.com. And on the line, of course, we bring back Ken Moskowitz. Ken, once again, can you tell everybody how they can find you on social media?
Sure thing. Once again, good afternoon to all. It's Facebook, Ken Moskowitz, in parentheses, Crossing Guard Ken, and it's Skywarn's father, Ken, both on Twitter and on Instagram.
Awesome. So it's just Jeff and I here now, and wanted to get into a lot of the Phillies topics with you, a lot of the Eagles topics. We were talking Mets and Phillies, and you were saying, Ken, that unfortunately or fortunately, it looks like Kapler's going to be gone sooner rather than later. Hopefully on Monday, we get word that he was relieved of his managerial duties. I've been advocating for this for a while, since the end of July, when the vibe in the clubhouse was absolutely awful, and just because, not because players weren't happy going to work, but because they weren't feeling the sense of urgency. Gabe Kapler never put a sense of urgency on this club. It was always kick the can down the road. We lost today, but we'll go out and get them tomorrow. And not only that, but I think, like, you look at Rhys Hoskins, I think he and his staff filled these guys' heads with so much, fluff and just so much stats, and we want you to do this. There's a great article. I don't know if you subscribe to The Athletic, Ken, but there is an amazing article that just came out today. I just saw it about the pitching staff and how they kind of revolt against Chris Young and how Kranitz was ousted as the pitching coach, and the awfulness of Gabe Kapler and everything. It's an amazing article, and the author went into the clubhouse and got players to speak to him because he wasn't going to attach their names to the piece. But it's very informative and just tells you the vibe in the Phillies clubhouse, how bad it is.
Yeah, just from what I'm reading, it's pretty miserable. I'll have to check that out. The Athletic, did you mention?
Yeah, it's on The Athletic. Okay. And and the author was able to go in there, talk to players, get the pitching staff specifically, and just what happened with the ousting of Kranitz, the former pitching coach, going over to CY, what CY wanted to do, what Gabe Kapler wanted to do with the pitching staff, and how, like, a lot of them, for an example, what Chris Young wanted, they mentioned Zach Eflin in the article, and what Kapler and Chris Young wanted Eflin to do was to throw more, I believe it's fastballs up in the zone, right? And the thing was, he started doing that, and when he started doing that early in the season, he was doing great. He was phenomenal when he was doing that. But then what ended up happening is when he was doing that, I guess because of the innings or just because of trying to do that, he started getting tired out. We all remember, Eflin with his body. I've got a tired body or something like that was his quote. And what ends up happening is I'm pitching up in the zone. But then when his body started getting tired, the pitches came down. And now instead of being up in the zone, the pitchers came down. And now batters were teeing off on him because they were right in the middle of the plate. Because it shrunk. Rather than pitching low in the zone. And if it's low in the zone, it's a ball or whatever. But by pitching high in the zone, now all of a sudden his body gets tired, the pitches dropped, and now it's right in the right down Broadway, and the batter started teeing off on it, and that's what. And then finally, I think Eflin said, the heck with this, I'm going to do it all on my own. I'm going to do what I know how to do.
Yeah, I mean, look, and it boils down to one thing yet again, in my opinion: analytics.
Yeah.
I mean, look, this is where I believe that that there is no rule in the handbook of the commissioner that states that everybody's got to be on board with this. There's no rule. So I mean, look, and you can't blame Eflin at all for that. So I mean, look. I know for a fact, I believe strongly, I truly believe strongly that John Middleton, there's no doubt, and again, this is going to be an interesting off season, and I'm really looking forward to following this off season more than I've ever had. Not to say that I've followed Phillies off seasons for the Phillies in years gone by, but this is going to be, I think, one that's going to be very interesting to read about, see about, talk about, and John Middleton has been with the ball club since '91. So I mean, look, from the time he was a chairman, so he knows what he knows what winning is all about. I mean, he had seen it, or he's been a part of it in '93 with that ball club when they met the Blue Jays in the series. And then fast forward to present day owner. So I mean, he knows what it's all about, and I do believe that he's got to break away. He is going to break away from the current analytic era because, look, we know it hasn't worked for 2 years, okay? And furthermore, with the analytics department, it's at the end of the day, you're paying these people to sit by computers and say, okay, well, Eflin needs to throw up throw a fastball up in the strike zone, or Hoskins got a bat lead off, or obviously, we've seen the results, and what were the results? It hasn't worked. So, and furthermore, you're paying these people, and it's really, in my opinion, it's a waste of money. It's a truly waste of money. That money, my opinion, could be spent much better than having stats being thrown at you. I mean, can't we dedicate the money to like autism awareness the way Jeffrey Lurie and the Eagles organization's doing? I mean, I just don't. I truly don't understand. The main reason for I mean, we get what the main reason is for analytics, but I mean, it's nonsense. And at the end of the day, has it worked? No, not for the Phillies. It hasn't. So I mean, it's got to go. It's got to go.
See, I think analytics is okay, it's another tool to help a manager make a decision. But here's the thing. I don't think you should go overboard with the analytics. Like, you got to trust in the course of a game, you got to trust what your eyes and your feeling is telling you, what your gut is telling you, what you're seeing visually, right?
Right.
And you can have a book, and the book can say, okay, this person does well against this pitcher, and you have that ready for you, and you have that with you. But when you're in the course of managing a game, the manager is supposed to know these players, know their attitude, know what kind of what they're about, and then use that during the course of the game. If a pitcher's pitching well, keep him out there, let him go, but be ready to get a guy up in the bullpen, know what your next move or moves are going to be, down the line, but stay, if somebody's doing well, right, and the other thing I get on Kapler about is his lineups. If you have a guy and he goes 4 for 4, with a double and a home run in a game, ride that guy. Have him in the lineup the next day or the next 2 days. Give that player a reward. Don't sit him on the bench the next day,
Yeah.
And,
Yep.
And as far as coaching goes, I want to see guys get better. I think this coaching staff has absolutely ruined Rhys Hoskins. To the point now where I heard a rumor, and I'm sure you saw it too, where the Phillies may be putting Rhys Hoskins on the trading block. To me, that is absolutely that would be an absolutely wrong move, because now you're telling me what you're going to need to find a third baseman and a first baseman, and Rhys Hoskins is still young in his career. Here was a guy who has been mashing home runs the past 2 years. Had a bad year this year because I think the hitting, Gabe Kapler put too much of this. You got to have a certain swing, and we want you to alter your swing this way, and just altered everything the same way Chris Young did to the pitching staff, and just absolutely put so many things in his head that he couldn't do the right thing, and he struggled, and then he's thinking even more to get out of his slump that's been going on for a while, and Charlie Manuel couldn't even help him out, because I think Gabe Kapler puts too many things into swing zone and analytics and stuff like that he ruined the kid. And if they trade him, I think it will go down as one of the all-time worst trades in Phillies history, because I can see Rhys Hoskins under another coaching staff, under another manager, going back to being a 30 to 40 home run guy. Once he gets his head clean, all this analytic stuff out of there.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with that, and I do agree with you too in regards to not just who our next successor is going to be, for the Phillies, or any manager for that matter in baseball. But I agree with you in regards to, yes, you have that analytic idea as a tool, okay?
Yeah.
At least have it in your head, though. Don't fiddle around with it. Have it to the point where if it's a real major crucial decision that you need to make. But also with these crucial decisions, though, too, these managers, look, Eddie Kapler, giving any defense to him, I know for a fact he's not a stupid guy. I mean, but since this has been brought upon us fans, okay, in regards to, having a pitcher go 5 innings or throw 100 pitches, or 101 pitches, whatever comes first, that's not baseball. That's not the baseball that we know.
Yeah.
But I agree. I do agree with you, though, Jay, as far as have it as a tool, but bring it up when it's necessary, but otherwise, yes, make these decisions. Go with your gut feeling. Go with your true feelings. Because yes, you're a veteran. You've been around the game for a long time. From a player to a manager, to a coach to a manager. I mean, come on now. But like I said, it's going to be one interesting off season for this ball club.
I think so too, and want to get your feelings here. I would say Monday, maybe Black Monday for some of these guys. Prediction time, Ken. Who do you think goes? I'm betting on Monday that news could trickle down. All the managerial guys, Clintack, McPhail, Middleton, were in Washington watching this debacle of a series where the Phillies couldn't even take one game against the Nationals. They were all in Washington. I'm sure they got a good read on Middleton's attitude during the series, his facial, because you can tell a lot. If you're hanging around your boss, you can tell a lot about, especially when you know that you're on the hot seat. You can get a vibe. You can see it in his face. You can see it in his attitude, maybe how he's phrasing things, how tense he is, how angry he is.
Right.
You can get a certain vibe, and I'm sure McPhail and Clintack and Kapler probably got a vibe from Middleton as to what he may be thinking. So I'm guessing that news could trickle out maybe as soon as Monday. Maybe Middleton wants to take a day or two after the season ends just to kind of compose himself and make sure he's making a decision that he's comfortable with. But I want to get a prediction from you here, Ken. Who do you think stays or goes out of the Phillies front office? McPhail, Clintack, and Kapler. How much does Middleton clean out?
I believe in my heart of hearts, in following this ball club for almost 40 years, that I do think Middleton, there's no two ways about it, I think he is cleaning house. Because look, let's put it all into perspective, okay? He traveled out to Vegas from the East Coast, what was it, 3 or 4 times in order to score Bryce Harper, okay? The last visit, he brought his wife to meet Mrs. Harper, to meet Kayla, okay, and in a rather unique but yet very, very cool meeting from the way I read and from the way we talked about it prior to the season starting. And of course, more importantly too, along with the $330 million, another, what are we talking, 220 million plus that was also spent. So you're looking, 3 or 4 trips to Vegas from the East Coast and $550 million, okay, that was spent in the off season. And what's the end result? You were competing for a second wild card spot? No. So here's the way I see John Middleton taking order, if you will. I do think, and I repeat, I do think that when the clock strikes zero, okay, come late Sunday afternoon when the ball game ends, it's Kapler and Young right from the get-go. No, not even waiting for Monday. I think there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it, and especially with Chris Young. Especially with the article that, now you've got me interested in wanting to read, that, I think when the clock strikes zero at the end of the season, both Kapler and Young are the first to leave to their duties, And then I think what's going to happen is, too, that it may be during that whole week, next week, that is. Once the clock ends, it's going to be Kapler and Young first. Then over the course of next week, might even hear of Clintack going too, I think. And then the dominoes, I think, one by one are eventually going to fall as time progresses. As the off season starts its beginning stages. And like I said, I think John Middleton is, otherwise there's no excuses for the results of what happened and the results of what Gabe Kapler gave to this ball club, the fans. I mean, and again, and giving any defense to Kapler, I know for a fact he's not a stupid guy. I truly believe he isn't. But it's just this numbers game has just it's gone too far. My opinion, it's gone too far. It's not baseball.
I agree. Use it as a tool. But here's the thing too. Why I think Clintack may go. Because if you fire Kapler, and I think everybody in Philadelphia will rejoice when Kapler is fired. I just think we gave you a chance. You didn't live up to it. You tanked 2 years in a row. You didn't improve. The team is getting worse as we go along. They're not putting forth any effort whatsoever. They may get swept by the stinking Marlins this weekend. So I think Kapler, just from re-energizing the fan base, Kapler has to go. And then I think Clintack may go because who do you have choosing the next manager? Do you want Clintack choosing the next manager, or would you like another voice choosing the next manager? That's what it comes down to. Because hey, if you're firing Kapler, Clintack doubled down on Kapler. By the way. What was it, last week or the week before, saying that he's done a fantastic job and everything like that. So that Kapler is Clintack's boy. So my feeling is that if you fire Kapler and you leave Clintack in charge, Clintack is going to try and search out someone similar to Gabe Kapler. And if not, if you're Middleton and you're sitting in on the interview, why even have Clintack there to begin with if you're choosing the manager? It just doesn't make sense. So unless you have faith in Clintack choosing the next manager, then Clintack would have to go as well.
I agree.
That's just my feeling on it. But but I don't want to hold you up too much longer, Ken. And I'm sorry this has kind of turned into a Phillies discussion because I really wanted to talk Eagles after their emotional victory last night, going to Green Bay and beating the Packers, getting that much-needed win that they needed, and to get your thoughts on the game.
Yeah, I'll tell you, look, I was glad they won. I was glad they hung on and won. Carson had a nice game, but I will, but look, here's the thing though. We finally utilized that running game, which was awesome. Nothing south of awesome. I mean, we unleashed Jordan Howard like there was no tomorrow. I will say that.
He is phenomenal, isn't he?
Unbelievable. This is where I say that the more that we utilize that running game, what's going to be complementary to go along with that is time management. And time management was just superb, and especially late in that game last night, I thought. I mean, for what happened last night. And I feel for him too, because look, he wasn't intentionally wanting to hurt. Who was it again?
Maddox.
Oh no,
somebody else.
I'm not sure the player's name off the top of my head, but he wasn't.
Either now.
But you're right. He wasn't going in there. And the play was dirty, but he's not a dirty player, and he didn't, want to injure.
But
injure him at all.
Right. But here's the thing, though. All those, that whole line, though, they have to be careful, though, because it seemed like the penalties were starting to rack up a bit, which I thought,
Agreed.
Oh my God.
I didn't think the referees had a very good game at all, because I was saying during the course of the game that if you even brushed against the opposing player, they were going to throw a flag. Some of the calls to me seemed very ticky-tacky.
Except for the last.
Oh yeah, no, I agree. But but still, moving forward though, they just have to watch. They just have to, take note and say, look, okay, you know what? I can't make that mistake of putting
for
my
the head.
arm out ahead of time, or otherwise I'm going to get that pass interference call, against us, and they're going to, the opposition's going to be moving up 10, 15 yards. All those position players just have to be careful, especially when it comes to, the ends of our lines there, the safeties and the corners too. I mean, look, and I'm not even going to go with the bad game that Mannix had, because as far as I'm concerned, the game that he had, I'm throwing it out the window only for the fact that towards the end of that game, I was just I was just hoping and praying that he was going to be okay. Thankfully, we heard the good news. He managed to fly back to the East Coast to Philly with the team. Everything, all the extremities he was able to move. So, and I'm sure they're taking it day by day right now. So, I'm glad that Avonte Maddox is going to be fine.
And Ken, I'm sure you've heard it all over the place today, but Aaron Rodgers' 59-game unbeaten streak at home when taking a 10-point lead came to an end. The Eagles are the one that ended Aaron Rodgers' winning streak.
Yes.
Yeah, with a holding penalty. I mean, come on.
No, there was no holding
pass
penalty.
Interference.
No.
I was watching the video. He couldn't even get his arms up.
No, it was a.
I'm gonna make everybody mad. The Eagle. That was pass interference. It was clear as day, and nobody else called it. I'm sorry. They would have had that touchdown if his arms were able to actually grab the ball. Instead, it bounces off his chest. Eagles get it. It's like, yay! And then everyone forgets, hey, pass interference. We had 2 other calls for pass interference. This was clearly
it was it was reviewed or what,
No, it wasn't.
Well,
they kept playing and then they ended the. I'm like, that was so pass interference. I'm sorry.
As I know that kind of goes against his
nature,
DNA. Coming up through Andy Reid and whatever. But I love it when Doug Peterson commits to the running game and the Eagles run the ball. They have a train show. He made a very good point by saying that James came in there, and normally when a rookie is on the field for the first time lining up, his eyes are like as big as the Grand Canyon, and they're nervous, and because you always have those jitters, right? And he said that James came in there and he actually attacked the ball. He was aggressive. And we haven't seen that out of a number of our corners this year. And he was really happy to see it out of James. And he's hoping to see more of it going forward.
I would agree. I did read that. Yeah.
Yep.
I would agree with that. Absolutely.
So I'm.
But.
Oh, go ahead.
You're going to say.
No, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, at least they had now they have at least the 10 days to recoup, regroup, and prep and get ready for the Jets 10 days from now.
Yeah, and it looks like the Jets will have their franchise quarterback back. They'll have Le'Veon Bell, but the Jets have been struggling, so they're going to come into the link absolutely thirsting for a win. So I expect the Jets to unleash their full arsenal. But looking at the Eagles having a big win, coming off a big win at Lambeau, they'll be able to calm down a little bit, so they won't be as ramped up. Having this time off, I think, is good for the Eagles. Get people back, get people healthy, and then kind of calm down a little bit, and then be able to take care of business at the link versus the New York Jets a week from Sunday.
Yeah. And I know you were touching on the corners too. You know, look, I've been reading about, Ramsey and that. Will it happen? My personal opinion, I don't think it will. I mean, look, you have to. You're either going to give up a rather, in my opinion, I think you're going to give up a rather talented player, or you're going to surrender your first round pick, possibly your second, in order to acquire Ramsey.
Yep.
I mean, if it happens, hey, it's going to happen. We can't make that decision for ourselves, because at the end of the day, it's Howie and company that makes that decision. But I just don't see it happening. I would have made if anything, before Darby stunk the joint up a bit, prior to him doing that, I would have threw Darby second, maybe a third round, and maybe one more player, possibly. But being that Darby did not perform very well prior, and of course, leading to him getting hurt, I just don't see, I expect more of, like, Sidney Jones when he comes back to really, do something, awesome, for that line. But I just don't see, right now, look, for as talented as Ramsey could be, I just don't see it right now. I just don't see it.
And here's the thing. I know people are ragging on the Eagles cornerbacks, but here's my thing about the Eagles cornerbacks, right? When you do a deep dive into them, you have Ronald Darby, who's 25. You have Rasul Douglas, who's 25. You have Craig James, he's 23. He just got promoted from the practice squad. Sidney Jones is 23. Vontae Maddox, 23. So you have a bunch of talent. I do believe all of them are talented, and they're young. And, young players are going to make mistakes. And they're, Cravion LeBlanc, he's 25, as well. So, you got, 25, Jalen Mills is 25. So you got a bunch of these young cornerbacks who are in their early to mid-20s. They're going to make mistakes, but the longer they're in a system, I think they will get better. Now, can you sign all of them to contracts? Probably not. But I think it's too early in their careers, especially like a guy like Sidney Jones, who gets hurt all the time. He hasn't been on the field enough. I think some of these guys are going to turn out to be decent cornerbacks. They just need a little more time, a little more experience during the course of actual NFL games, and not, training camp and OTAs and preseason. And those aren't game speed. Now you're getting game speed. Now you're getting players hitting each other in pads, wanting wins. These are real NFL games, and these are where these young players, 23, 25 years old, are getting their game experience. Give them a little bit more time to develop. Give them another season or two. If they don't develop, then cut them loose. But I think they're too young to give up on them.
See, in regards and in response to, I know there was a report yesterday or day before in regards to, Goodell possibly extending this, even extending the season. I don't go for that. This is with what you touched on, Jay. This is where I say extend the training camp at least another 2 weeks, okay, in August. Trim down your preseason games from 4 to 2, and keep the regular season format the way you have it right now. You're not going to lose any time. If anything, you're extending training camp. Therefore, you're going to, all these coaches, Doug Peterson and, the Green Bay coach, they're all, Adam Gase here in New York, they're all going to get at least in my opinion, a better grasp of, okay, let's see a little more of him before the training camp winds down. Let's see a little more of this guy, a little more of that guy, and the more I think the more that may have, the more training camp time that what hopefully can be extended, the better, I think. But I think another 2 weeks in extend another 2 weeks in training camp. Trim your because the preseason, this preseason especially, I thought was way odd. I just and I get the idea that you didn't start Carson Wentz for a good reason because of the health, that the issues and
a lot of the starters, not just Carson.
Yeah, no, there were quite a few of them down the line. There were quite a few of them, a few ball players down the line. But I think you got to. I think you trim the preseason games down to 2 as opposed to 4, but keep your 16 to 17 week format intact. You're not going to lose any time with that. That's what I think. But
I'm kind of with you on that. I think they do need to trim the preseason because I think it's an absolute travesty that they require season ticket holders to purchase the 4 preseason games when you may not see a starter in any of them. The way the teams are using the preseason now, benching their starters. Maybe you see him in one game if you're lucky, but we didn't see Carson Wentz at all. I think to your point, I agree that you could extend the training camp by an extra couple of weeks. I like the idea of having open practices. Where you invite fans to come to the link and see the players practicing. It may not be a game, but, or what you could do is have a scrimmage between 2 teams. Eagles do that. Sometimes they'll bring in the Ravens or some other team to have like a scrimmage that has, that's a padded practice where, where the players can actually put on pads and do a little bit of hitting.
Yep.
That type of thing. So you can do those 2 things, which I think are good. The open practices, inviting fans to the link, have more of them. You extend the training camp 2 weeks, have more of the open practices. Great, invite fans. Maybe have a couple of scrimmages with other teams, inviting them in. Maybe have 1 or 2 preseason games where you tackle to the ground and fans know, okay, but don't make it part of the season ticket package. And where fans can see an actual game. You're not going to see any starters, but here's 2 games where we can evaluate the backups. But I will say that if the NFL wants to extend it 1 game, I'm fine with moving it from 16 to 17. Which I think is what Roger Goodell kind of offered. So, if he wants to, scratch 2 preseason games, that's good because nobody cares about nobody except nerds like me care about the preseason game because I'm looking at guys who, like, guys like last night, who will be, making the roster from the practice squad.
Right.
Craig James probably played in the Eagles' final preseason game. Again, he's a guy that, played in the final preseason game. Now he made a big play, last night. So, unless you're a nerd like me, nobody really cares because none of them are playing. So scrap the 2 preseason games. If you want to add an extra game on, that's fine. But what you don't want to take away, which the NFL has over every other league, NBA, NHL, and Major League Baseball, is the fact that there's a sense of urgency to every game on the schedule. From game 1 to game 16 right now, there's always a sense of urgency because of who you're playing, when you're playing them, playoff implications, because had the Eagles lost last night, I mean, you look at the teams that they would have lost to, you're talking about Detroit, you're talking about the Packers, teams that they may be fighting for a wild card spot. So, so there's a sense of urgency. There's a sense of, we got to win this game with teams in the NFL have in any other sport during the regular season. So 17 games, I feel, would not take away that sense of urgency and importance to these games. So if they want to tack on an extra regular season game, I'm fine with that. But yeah, like you said, let's do away with the preseason games, and extend training camp if you want to. I think that would be a good idea too.
Absolutely.
All right, so Ken, want to do a couple of quick predictions before I let you go?
Let's do it.
All right. So looking at the schedule, big division matchup. We've got the Cleveland Browns at the Baltimore Ravens this Sunday.
Ravens.
All right. We've got, here's one that I think is going to be pretty good. New England at Buffalo.
It ought to be good. But I see Buffalo finally, I think, coming down to earth. That's because look who they're facing.
Yeah.
So I do see at least the better part of 32 being put up on the board by New England, and in a fairly decent blowout. So I got to go with the Patriots.
I'm actually taking Buffalo in that one as a surprise upset. Buffalo is going to be sneaky good this year, I think.
Yeah, when it's going to matter most, I would agree. I think it's going to be when it matters most. I mean,
okay.
And they seem like they have proved that. Well, at least. What was it when Jim Schwartz was their defensive coordinator under Doug Marrone a couple years back? So I prior to Schwartz coming to Philadelphia. So I could you can't count Buffalo. I would say you don't count Buffalo, and especially their defense out totally. But but like I said. Look who you're facing this Sunday. So,
okay,
one game at a time.
Gotcha. 0-3 Washington Redskins visiting the New York Giants this Sunday, 1:00. Do you think Washington has any shot to beat the Giants?
Absolutely not.
I agree with you.
Absolutely not. and really, I could see Daniel, giving the fans a nice thrill at home. So I'll tell you, I'm sure I'll be here. I'll be hearing it this weekend.
I'm sure you will. Seattle visiting Arizona. Seattle's 2-1, and the Arizona Cardinals looking for their first win, 2-1. Can Arizona get their first victory of the year?
I think they will. I
have a feeling you're right. I have a feeling that you're right on that one. We've got Jacksonville visiting Denver. out in the AFC West. Jacksonville is 1-2. Denver's looking for their first win with Joe Flacco as their quarterback. Denver's 0-3. Can Denver get their first win against the Jags?
Yeah, I think they will. I mean, I do think that Flacco, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Flacco has been successful in his career against Jacksonville too. So that's one of the reasons why I did take Denver in the pick, in the Joe Montana pick.
Yep. Now, here's a good one, Ken. I'm going to test your loyalty here.
Let's hear it.
Sunday night at 8:20 p.m., the Dallas Cowboys will be in New Orleans to face the Saints. Dallas is undefeated, 3-0 on the year. New Orleans is 2-1 going into Sunday night. Can Teddy Bridgewater beat the Dallas Cowboys?
First off, I forgot who I picked in that game. But I did. But otherwise, look, I am going to have to say I gotta say Teddy Bridgewater. I do. I really do. I mean, like, I don't want it. And let's not forget too. I believe they're going to be out Amari Cooper too. By the way. Dallas will, because I believe he's sitting there with an ankle, if I'm not mistaken, an ankle injury, if I read it correctly.
He may be. I'll have to check that out, but you may be right.
I believe I took the Saints though, but I am saying the Saints though. It might be close, but I think the Saints are going to pull that victory out though.
I don't know. Against the cheerleaders? I doubt it. Trying to throw that touchdown. Oh, look, they're moving. Oh, whoops.
We will have to keep abreast of the Amari Cooper
injury,
because that, like you said, it could affect the game. And here's an interesting thing. Monday night coming up. Cincinnati Bengals, who are 0-3, are traveling to Pittsburgh to play the Steelers, who are 0-3 as well. Both teams looking for their first win of the year. Who do you think is pretty much done for the year? Because I don't see either one of these teams coming back from 0-4.
Yeah, no, I don't. I don't either. If anybody who I believe has the advantage, I would have to go with Pittsburgh. But I mean, and like I was really high on Pittsburgh a bit this year too, prior to Roethlisberger being hurt. But I think Pittsburgh will pull it out.
I don't know. I'm going with Cincinnati in that one, just because I haven't been impressed with Pittsburgh this year. Like you said, no longer having the Bees on their team, I think has hurt Pittsburgh. They just seem to be, this is not their year. I have a number of my friends who are Steelers fans saying that they want Roethlisberger gone, that they want the Steelers to lose as many games as they can and get a high draft pick so that maybe they'll take a quarterback in the draft. But, yeah, I think this will be the end of Pittsburgh's season. I think Cincinnati's just going to come up with a win, and that'll be it for Pittsburgh this year.
All right.
Yeah. But, Ken, love having you on the show. I know you got to run. I'm sorry for keeping you this late. But, Ken, once again, can you tell everybody how they can find you on social media?
No problem. No problem at all with the time as well. Ken Skillet in parenthesis Crossing Guard Ken on Facebook, and on Twitter and Instagram, Skywarn Spotter Ken.
All right, Ken. Can't wait to have you on again next Friday. Enjoy the weekend. Maybe catch some football. If not, I'm sure there may be a honeydew list for you, coming up. So, I mean, no Eagles on Sunday. So, that opens up your whole weekend.
Well,
yeah.
Just means you can sleep more.
Yeah, we'll see.
All right, Ken. Have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you again next Friday.
Will do. All right. Thank you very much, guys.
Okay, Ken. And, of course, that was Skywarn Spotter Ken. You can also catch him at Crossing Guard Ken as well. We love having Ken on the show talking Philly sports with us. We have him on every week. So he's an awesome guest. Again, we want to remind you to check us out on our social media pages. Other than here on YouTube, we've got Twitter, Instagram, Facebook as well. We've got the Pick'em League going, so feel free to join up in that as well. Over at Balto, we have links to our league on our social media pages. So all you really have to do is click on the link and join the league, and we'll send you a link so you can pick games against Joe Montana and Jerry Rice.
Oh, yeah.
Two NFL Hall of Fame players, so we want to get you into that league as well. So all you have to do is join our Pick'em League and have some fun picking against us and also picking against Joe Montana and Jerry Rice. Lots of fun there. So right now what we do every week is we have a segment that my brother Jeff does called This Week in Sports History, where he recaps the coming week ahead and let you know events that have happened in the past in the world of sports. And it could be anything, any year, any sport. He recaps all the major events. He does one a day. It's a really good segment. He has some interesting information this week as well. So you want to definitely stay tuned for that. He has information on the Mets and Phillies, a big game. The Rangers and the Fordham Rams had made the This Week in Sports History this week. So it's a great segment that we have every week. So here right now is my brother Jeff with This Week in Sports History.
About playing against a football great? You think you have the skills to beat a Hall of Fame quarterback? Well, Sports Skillet is offering a unique opportunity for you. Go up against the legendary Joe Montana. Enter by joining our Pick'em League. Follow us on the Sports Skillet Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and we will send you the link to battle the former 49ers quarterback and receive $2,000 if you come out on top. Remember to tune into the Sports Skillet live stream every Friday afternoon and every Sunday on Fox Sports Radio 920 The Jersey. And check us out on sportsskilletradio.com. Download our app and take us on the go.
Welcome to This Week in Sports History, sponsored by Wildflowers Restaurant on the Pennington Circle. I am Jeff Sellner. Let's dive right into the history books. On September 30th, in 1939, the Waynesburg Yellow Jackets and the Fordham Rams played on New York City's Randall Island. The game was broadcast by NBC and was the first American football game ever televised. The Rams defeated the Yellow Jackets 34-7. Fordham entered the game as a preseason favorite to win the national championship. 9,000 fans attended the game, announced by Bill Stern of NBC. Fordham ended the season with a record of 6-2. Texas A&M will go on to win the national championship by being named the national champions by the voters in the AP Writers' Poll after defeating Tulane 14-13 in the Sugar Bowl. On October 1st in 1903, Game 1 of the first ever World Series was played between the Boston Americans of the American League and the Pittsburgh Pirates of the National League. The series was a best-of-9 affair. Boston won the series 5-3, winning the last 4 games. Notable was Pittsburgh's Honus Wagner. The league batting champion batted only .222 in the World Series and committed 6 errors as he was bothered by injuries. The following spring, Honus refused to send entrant to the Hall of Fame for batting champions. Honus wrote, "I was a joke in that Boston-Pittsburgh series. What does it profit a man to hammer along and make a few hits when they are not needed, only to fall down when it comes to a pinch? I would be ashamed to have my picture up now." Honus Wagner ended his career with a lifetime batting average of .329 and was inducted into the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame in 1936. On October 2nd, in 1965, the Philadelphia Phillies and New York Mets played an 18-inning scoreless tie. Yes, 18-inning scoreless tie in a nightcap of a 29 doubleheader on a Saturday at Shea Stadium. What was remarkable besides the tie, you ask? How about Mets starting pitcher Rob Gardner and Phillies pitcher Chris Short pitching 15 innings to begin the game? Short struck out 18 Mets along the way. 10,371 fans witnessed the tie in person as the Mets were 50-110 after this game. The Phillies were 83-76. The Phillies won the first game of the doubleheader 6-0. On October 3rd in 1971, women's professional tennis player Billie Jean King became the first female athlete to win over $100,000. Between 1961 and 1979, Billie won a record 20 Wimbledon titles. Off the court, King was a fighter for equal prize money for men and women. She was elected to the International Tennis Hall of Fame in 1987 with a career singles record of 695 and 155, winning 82% of her matches. On October 4th in 1991, the New York Rangers of the National Hockey League traded Bernie Nichols and two other players to the Edmonton Oilers for Captain Mark Messier. Messier's effect on the Rangers was immediate, as the Rangers would become the league's best regular season team in 1991-92 and again in 93-94. Messier would help end a 54-year championship drought by winning the Stanley Cup in 1994. Messier would score the cup-winning goal. The Oilers, they would not make the Cup Finals again until 2006 and then fail to qualify for the playoffs again until 2017. On October 5th in 2001, the Atlanta Braves defeated the Florida Marlins 20-3, winning the 10th consecutive division title and becoming the first team in professional sports history to win 10 consecutive division titles. And finally, on October 6th in 1985, New York Yankees pitcher Phil Niekro became the 18th pitcher to win 300 games as he shut out the Toronto Blue Jays 8-0. The knuckleballer would go on to win 318 games and be inducted into the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame in 1997. Thank you for listening to This Week in Sports History, sponsored by Wildflowers Restaurant on the Pennington Circle. I am Jeff Sellner.
You're listening to the Sports Skillet Radio Show, cooking up all the hot takes. Jump in and join us at 609-919-9200. Download our app at sportskilletradio.com. Find us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube by searching for Sports Skillet. And remember to show us some love. Like, follow, and share.
And we are back here on the Sports Skillet live stream every Friday afternoon, emanating from the CSB Cherry Hill Studios in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Thank you for watching us, everybody. We appreciate it. If you missed any portion of the show, feel free to go back in and listen to it. We've had a lot of good conversations. We had Mike Nevia on earlier, talking some Mets and Giants. Of course, we had Ken Moskowitz join us as well. We do this every Friday afternoon, and we want to thank you. And again, do what the commercial says. Go in, download our app at sportskilletradio.com. Please like, follow, and share. Get word out there about our show, because we bring it to you. We want to talk about topics that interest you guys. So if you have a topic you want us to discuss it on the show, feel free to comment on our live stream. Jeff will let me know what you guys are saying there on our live stream. So if you have any comment, feel free to comment. We'll talk about anything and everything. That's why we are Sports Skillet, because we talk about everything and anything here on the Sports Skillet Radio Show. And again, a reminder to tune in every Sunday morning at 11 a.m. on Fox Sports Radio 920 The Jersey, or go to our website and click on Listen Live, and you can hear our great show from the Fox Sports Radio 920 The Jersey studios. We have great guests and everything like that. My brother Jeff is on the show. Kelly joins us on occasion, so it's really good. You have great guests and everything like that. So do that now.
Before you get into the next thing, you made not Twitter, I'm sorry, the YouTube channel.
Yep.
I decided to take a look because we only had one person watching us, didn't ask us any questions, but then our friend from last week, Busty Bride, joined in.
Awesome. Hello, Busty.
Yeah. Well, first she says our voices sound robotic because we are fake. We're all CG. This isn't really real.
Oh, we're living in an alternate universe.
Exactly.
I got you.
That's why Jay looks the way he is. He can't help it. He's just programmed that way.
I am. I need to find my operator or something like that.
But she goes on. She actually has a question.
Sure.
What do you think is going on with my Derek? And do you think him and his coach Gruden can turn the season around? It's getting hard to defend DC4. I'm hoping for some wins. So I guess this was during Ken's.
Yep.
Talk.
Sorry we didn't get to you sooner, but we are getting to you now. The Raiders right now are struggling. They really are, no question about it. And they're in a tough division because they do have the Andy Reid and the Kansas City Chiefs in there, and they're going to make life tough for John Gruden. In that AFC West division, Derek Carr, I think, is a good quarterback. Some people bust on him a little bit, but I think Derek Carr is a good NFL quarterback. Now, is he as good as some of the other quarterbacks out there? I think there are better quarterbacks like Mahomes in Kansas City, and we've got a very good quarterback on the Ravens, and of course you got Tom Brady, who's sticking around, who may not be gifted athletically, but you're not going to fool him with any defense whatsoever. So you have to lump Tom Brady in there. Carson Wentz is showing that he's a good quarterback as well. So you've got a bunch of really good quarterbacks in there. And to me, it's just a tough go for the Oakland Raiders right now. I think they will be getting better over the course of time. I like Mike Mayock as a general manager. I think he knows how to talk to the media, how to get his point across. They released their mercurial wide receiver, Antonio Brown, after giving him umpteen amount of chances to get straightened out. I think that was a good thing for the Raiders. I think John Gruden is oftentimes about John Gruden. I don't know exactly how much he's putting in a decent amount for coaching, but I also think he's a persona of sorts. Like, he is about John Gruden. You saw it kind of on the show in the preseason Hard Knocks. He is a character, and he portrays that character really well. And I think once his contract with the Raiders runs out, he's going to go back into broadcasting. And who knows, maybe the Raiders wind up eating that contract or a portion of it if the Raiders don't start getting better. He got rid of two really good players. Amari Cooper, he got rid of to Dallas. I don't think he should have got traded that. And of course the defensive end he trades to the Chicago Bears. So those are two guys that you can build your team around. You don't have to wake up. You don't have to worry about getting a phone call at 1 or 2 or 3 in the morning about a guy causing mayhem and chaos, and now you got to wake up your PR staff and you got to dig into it with your security staff and find out what's going on and get all the story and everything like that. Those are two upstanding individuals that play hard, play football the right way, and you build your team around those guys. You don't trade them for whatever reason, maybe to get some draft picks, which he did. Gruden winds up trading these guys, but now you're trying to replace the two guys that you've already traded. It makes no sense. Why replace a guy? Yes, maybe you get a couple of extra draft picks, but you're trading away two really good guys that are essential to building a good team, a defensive end and a wide receiver. And Gruden traded away two really good guys. Now, will he eventually be able to compete for the division title? That's going to be tough because Andy Reid and Pat Mahomes are not going anywhere anytime soon. So I don't know whether or not Gruden can make the Raiders a good enough team to overtake Andy Reid and Pat Mahomes. Now, injuries are part of football. Every team deals with them. Every team has to get past them. You see the Eagles secondary cornerback is being wiped out. So who knows what's going to happen in the future? Maybe Pat Mahomes gets hurt. I hope he doesn't because I love watching Pat Mahomes play. But maybe Pat Mahomes gets hurt. And now all of a sudden Andy Reid is down to his backup quarterback. That can affect the division title. If you still have Derek Carr there, that provides an opening maybe for the Raiders to squeeze through if Gruden can put enough good players on the team. But I think for right now, unfortunately, I have to say I don't see the Raiders competing for the division title. Right now, they've got to add some more pieces to the team. And then I would say you look around the AFC and you find out, okay, who am I competing with for a wild card? That's a spot I can see maybe the Raiders, if they get good play out of Derek Carr and add some more good pieces to the team, I could see them possibly competing for a wild card. So that would be my analysis for the Raiders. I think Derek Carr is a good quarterback. He may not be Pat Mahomes or some of the other some of the other Russell Wilson or some of the other good quarterbacks in the NFL, but he's maybe the next tier down. And I think you can win with Derek Carr as your quarterback. So it's just getting some more pieces around him. Gruden being able to do some good coaching, in-game coaching, making adjustments, that type of thing. Maybe putting his persona to the side and actually caring more about building the Raiders and building the team as they move to Vegas and putting more effort into that than being a character and creating sound bites and that type of thing. I think if Gruden can do that and Mayock can put some good pieces around the Raiders, I think they could compete for a wild card. But I just don't see the Raiders right now competing for the division title. I think Andy Reid has the Chiefs humming. Mahomes is too good, and he has a ton of really talented pieces around him. So right now, if I was a Raiders fan, I'd be looking more towards building the team and trying to get a wild card than I would be competing for the division title. That would just be my take on it.
I can understand that. She says she misses Mac, and it still hurts, apparently.
Yes, I'm sure it does. I mean, watching what he's doing with the Chicago Bears, playing very well, I would be saying the same thing. If I lost a player the caliber of Mac and gave him to another team when the Raiders should have been building their defense around him, that's a hard one to kind of get past.
Yeah.
He really is the player that you want to build your team around.
Yep.
He really is on defense. He's a guy, and that's what the Bears are doing. They're building their team around Mac and going forward with him, and I'm sure they're excited to have him on their defensive line, and it makes their whole defensive line better and their defense as a whole better because he's a team leader, and you don't give those guys up.
Yeah, you keep them, you use them, and you nurture them.
Exactly. I mean, I'd be feeling the same way. If the Eagles lost their talented safety, as well, Malcolm Jenkins, if for whatever reason, and Malcolm Jenkins wants a new contract, deserves a new contract, and Howie Roseman and Jeff Lurie should be running that new contract down to Malcolm Jenkins. I don't know why they haven't signed Malcolm Jenkins to a new contract yet, but I'd be feeling the same way. Malcolm Jenkins is a stalwart on the defense as the Eagles safety. He's a team leader. He's a guy that you build your secondary around and your defense around. And, just the way she's feeling about Mac, I'd be feeling the same way about Malcolm Jenkins if he wasn't on the Philadelphia Eagles anymore. One thing I wanted to, and feel free, like I said, tweet us, comment on our YouTube channel. We'll answer all sorts of questions for you. I wanted to briefly bring up the firestorm that Joel Embiid started last night. Joel Embiid, of course, on the Philadelphia 76ers. He's a social media sensation. Tons of followers. He likes to kind of rattle the cages from time to time.
Boy, is he rattling.
And fun guy. I mean, everybody, Sixers fans love him. Philadelphia fans generally love him. But yesterday, before the Eagles took on the Green Bay Packers in a must-win game for the Eagles to kind of salvage their season, because they really couldn't lose that game last night. Joel Embiid goes onto his social media and tweets out, "Go Pack, go." The last thing Eagle fans or fans in Philadelphia wanted was to hear one of our big-time players, and Joel Embiid is pretty much the guy on the 76ers, tweet out, "Go Pack, go," in a must-win game when the Eagle fans were already nervous about this game, already concerned, already having the feeling that we're going to go into Green Bay, we're going to go up against Aaron Rodgers, we're going to lose it, we're going to lose, already, having real concerns about the season as a whole and the aftermath of an Aaron Rodgers and Green Bay Packers victory. And the last thing they wanted is to hear their 76ers icon tweeting out, "Go Pack, go." So that created a firestorm on social media, and it just lit up everything. Now, I don't know whether, and here's the thing, what we're trying to figure out, I think fans in this time are a little bit more, getting more accepting of superstars in their city being fans of a team in another sport that may be a rival or from another city. Because I think that it's happening more and more as we go along, is you'll get superstars that, either wear hats or jerseys or whatever, or are fans of teams from other cities. Maybe it's a team that they were brought up watching and have always been a fan of, or maybe their friend is on that team, or whatever the case may be. I think, by and large, I think fans are kind of getting to where, okay, we understand you're a fan of this team or that team or whatever. But here's the thing with Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid is from Cameroon. So how are you brought up in the city of Cameroon, in the country of Cameroon, and become a fan of the Green Bay Packers? That's what people are kind of,
Maybe he likes cheese. I mean,
well, yeah, but you're in but you're in Cameroon. You don't associate being a fan of the Packers when you're living in Cameroon. Now, maybe something happened when he got to the States, or,
maybe he just likes the colors or something,
maybe.
Maybe he visited Green Bay and he liked it up there.
Could be, but there doesn't seem to be that. They want a little bit more. I think the fans are wanting a little bit more out of Joel Embiid. Like, when did you become a fan of the Packers? Why, when you're in the city of Philadelphia and you're an icon in the city of Philadelphia like Joel Embiid is, why would you tweet that out before this particular game that the Eagle fans were already nervous about, already on edge about? Why, Joel? You had everything going for you in the city of Philadelphia. You were beloved in the city of Philadelphia. Fans followed you. We love to follow you on Twitter because you have awesome tweets and do all this awesome and amazing stuff. But last night, Joel, was not the time to tweet out, "Go Pack, go."
Well, maybe he's devil's advocate. Maybe he's trying to do reverse psychology. Go Packs, go, and you see what happened.
So reverse black cat, kind of thing. Like, if I root for the Packers, that will cause them to lose, Or hopefully he was just kind of trolling the city of Philadelphia, trolling the fans a little bit, trying to get a reaction. Because a lot of times,
he got a reaction.
Oh, he did. No question about it. Joel got a reaction several times over, I think, what Joel needs to do is kind of do something on social media. Even if he's a fan of the Packers, I think what Joel needs to do is explain things a little bit more and maybe offer up an apology saying, I'm sorry this created such a reaction, and explain why he was a fan of the Packers, or explain why he did it. Why he tweeted it out.
Well, maybe he's trying to get the fans fired up and ready to go to really, get those embers burning, before the game, instead of waiting for the game and then yay!
Yeah, but he got them burning against them,
But maybe he's being a martyr.
Yeah.
Reverse psychology, get the fans excited well before that. Get it going.
Oh, you don't have to. Oh, for that game, you didn't have to get the Eagle fans going at all. Let me tell you. Not at all. Fans were already fired up for that game last night. And like I said, luckily the Eagles came away with a win. And now we can breathe a little sigh of relief, exhale a little bit, but here's the other thing that is interesting about the Eagles' upcoming schedule. As we go along here, Eagles have an interesting schedule. They get some time off here before facing the New York Jets coming up, and that'll be on October the 6th, so they get some time off. But then they go on 3 road games, and the road games are not going to be particularly easy. They go to Minnesota. They go then to the Dallas Cowboys for a Sunday night game, 8:20, on the 20th of October. And then they follow that up with a Sunday afternoon 1 o'clock game at the Buffalo Bills. Now, there is a reason that the Eagles have those 3 straight road games.
Okay.
The reason is because when they were devising the Eagles' schedule in the spring, and they were putting all the computations into their computers and everything, and the computer was spitting out the schedule, they took into account the fact that the Philadelphia Phillies would likely be playing a postseason or playoff baseball game at Citizens Bank Park during that time, and they really didn't want an Eagles game competing with a Phillies game.
Oh, at this point, I don't think there's any competition.
There's not any competition, but the schedule is already set in stone, and you can't really change it. So because the NFL thought the Phillies were going to be a playoff team and going to be playing in the postseason, they scheduled these games for these 3 straight road games for the Philadelphia Eagles. So the Eagles going on the road for 3 straight games against 3 straight tough opponents, by the way, and then coming home to face the Chicago Bears on Sunday, November 3rd. Again, could be, Bears do have a pretty good defense there. So those 3 straight road games against, as I said, against the Vikings, Cowboys, and Bills, you can thank the Phillies for that. So not only do the Phillies quit and not make the playoffs and tank for the second year in a row with Gabe Kapler as manager, but now who knows what they may have cost the Philadelphia Eagles by these 3 straight road games. So they not only did the Phillies are a garbage team this year, are going to finish behind the New York Mets, who are an absolute train wreck heading into July. Now they've affected the Eagles and the Eagles' schedule. So I know we were all saying at the time we were looking forward to this because we were going to watch, the Phillies in the playoffs, but we didn't know back in March and April when the schedule came out that the Phillies were going to be such garbage and stink so badly and be done by the middle of July. We didn't know that. So, yes, we were excited, okay, we didn't mind it. Well, now we do. Now that we've seen what garbage Gabe Kapler is as a person, I like Gabe Kapler a lot. I think he's very well-spoken. I think he's very intelligent. I like him as a person, but as a Phillies manager, gotta go. 2 seasons in, he's tanking earlier. So if we're following the progression here, he tanked in August last year. He tanked the beginning of June this year. So what, are we going to May next year? No, Gabe Kapler has to go as a Phillies manager. But the Phillies now have cost the Eagles 3 straight road games. So I wanted to get that off my chest a little bit here. But as we always do here on the show, is before we close up, we like to talk a little pro wrestling here and about what's been going on in the world of professional wrestling, because like I said, we talk about anything and everything here on Sports Skillet. We had Mike Nebbia talking a little NASCAR earlier, and I like getting into pro wrestling here because not a lot of shows, not a lot of podcasts talk about the world of professional wrestling, so I like to do it. It's one of my favorite things to discuss, and since I got the mic and we got the live stream, I say we do it. So, again, we saw a little bit. I was watching SmackDown on Tuesday night, and I thought, being in broadcasting, I can pick up on certain things, and I know maybe you guys out there did too. I thought the ending of SmackDown was a little bit rushed because you had a pretty good statement going on in the ring between Kevin Owens and Shane McMahon. And, it was regarding Kevin Owens' lawsuit against Shane and how that storyline was progressing and everything. And it turned out that Kevin Owens is going to be facing Shane McMahon in a ladder match at Hell in a Cell coming up. And I think that's going to be a really good match because we know, like him or hate him, Shane McMahon is a daredevil, loves to do big spots. And so I can only imagine what Shane has in store for that ladder match going forward. And in return for the ladder match, Kevin Owens is dropping, we knew that this was going to happen, but Kevin Owens is dropping his lawsuit and everything. So the other thing is, if Shane McMahon loses the ladder match, Kevin Owens gets to say to Shane McMahon that, there you go. And And here's the other thing too. I don't know what the storyline is going to be with Shane McMahon, because now you're going to have SmackDown moving over to Fox. So so maybe Fox doesn't want as much Shane McMahon. So maybe that may be why Shane may be taking a step back. Because I think everyone in the world believes that Kevin Owens is going to win the ladder match and is going to probably come out and tell Shane McMahon that he's fired. And Kevin Owens is going to be a big face on SmackDown going forward. So I do believe that that's what's going to happen with Shane McMahon and Kevin Owens going forward. But getting back to what I was saying, I believe they rushed that segment because they were in the ring and they were just announcing the ladder match, and I think they got a cue that, hey, we're running out of time. We're like 3 minutes away from 10 o'clock. You guys got to wrap this up. And they ended. You could feel that they kind of ended it early because they started playing Kevin's music as Kevin was talking to Shane and everything. So I believe they rushed the end of that segment so that they could get to a behind-the-scenes segment with Sasha Banks attacking Becky Lynch and leaving Becky Lynch lying, in the hallway or, backstage area. So they knew that they wanted to run that. They knew that was going to take a few minutes to get done and get over with. So it was like, no, we got to roll. So they actually started playing Kevin Owens' music, entrance music, as the two of them were still talking in the ring, and they was like, okay, we got to end this. So they ended it really, really fast. And I kind of noticed that, being in broadcasting.
Yeah, it's definitely, and I'm sure everybody else is like, why did they rush that? It's like, this is so good. Oh, what's her face getting beat up behind stage? Okay.
Yes. We got to go to Becky. We got to cut to Becky Lynch now, or we won't have time for it.
Exactly. Well, that's the problem. Like, it's live, so you only have so much time. It's not like a live stream like we have right now. We can take as much time as we want until we get kicked out of the studio, or they turn the lights off on us. So they have to stick to time scale. And on Sundays, obviously, we have a lot of time.
Yeah.
The music starts no matter what we do, and that ends the show.
Exactly. So it's like, when you're on there, you have a certain amount of time and everything to get everything done, get everything in, especially when you have to end the show a certain way.
Exactly.
So you may be talking about something, and it's like, wait a second, we got to end the show. We got to get this segment in before the show ends. So, so that's, so that's why they ended the show really quick, I felt, on
Tuesday night.
We got WWE's The Bump is coming. And
The Bump.
The Bump.
Is that like a new dance craze or something?
No. The WWE has been teasing a series on social media called The Bump. And according to PW Insider, The Bump will be a morning talk show style series that will debut on Wednesday morning, October the 2nd, featuring featuring a discussion of WWE-centric topics. They're told that the idea for the series is to be a legit and fun talk show mixed with ESPN SportsCenter style discussion. The series will stream on WWE social media channels. Not yet known if it will also air on the WWE network. So there you go. WWE The Bump is coming.
Okay.
So
another reason to go on their website.
Another reason to go on the WWE website. The other thing that's coming, of course, is the Wednesday Night Wars.
Mm-hmm.
So we are on the midst of that taking place between NXT and AEW.
I guess it sends chills.
I agree.
It's probably because it's cold in here, but that's beside the point.
No, I'm anxiously looking forward to it. I think a lot of people are going to be tuning into AEW, at least for the first episode.
Oh, yeah.
Tuning into AEW on the TNT network just to find out what it's about, who's over there. We know John Moxley, the former Dean Ambrose, is going to be heavily featured, one of the top performers on the show. Chris Jericho is going to be featured as well. Dustin Rhodes is going to be featured. Cody Rhodes is going to be featured as well. So you're gonna have wrestlers in there that they're gonna want to kick it off the right way. They're gonna have to build up characters though, because there's gonna be a lot of their audience that are tuning in for the first time that may have not ordered one of their pay-per-views that they've had so far. So you're gonna have to introduce a lot of these characters, whether they're faces or heels, good guy, bad guy. You're going to have to introduce storylines as well. Why should I buy in? Why should I care?
Exactly. And I'm hoping the storylines are well thought out, much in advance. And I don't know how much WWE does it, like if they do it weekly or if they have a plan for the month or even the year. I don't know how they do it with their storylines, but hopefully they have good ones. They thought it all out and try to do it differently than what WWE has.
I agree, and I'm anxious to see how they use these guys as well. Who's John Moxley going up against in AEW? Who's gonna? Cody Rhodes, is he going to be more of the wrestler, or is he going to be more of the Vince McMahon type, owner, that type of thing?
Kind of like standoffish, and only jumps in when he wants to.
Exactly. Kind of like your Shane McMahon,
right.
Something like that, where that he owns this. He's the guy in charge, that type of thing. Is he going to be a face? Is he going to be a heel? He's been both recently, so... his wife Brandy is also going to be involved on the women's side.
Interesting.
So she's already been wrestling and stuff. Is she going to be face or heel? That's going to be interesting to see. And how are the storylines going to go? We know Jim Ross is involved with this as an announcer. So already there's an announcer that people are familiar with. Does a great job, so he's going to bring some added excitement to AEW when they kick off. So, I think Wednesdays are going to be really fun. Now, the one thing is, I don't know, and here's the kicker. I don't know if AEW is going to be rebroadcast on TNT.
Oh, that's a good point.
I don't know if it's just going to be a once a week deal, and you got to DVR it. If you want to go back, if you're watching something else and want to go back to it or whatever. So I don't know if there's going to be a rebroadcast of AEW on TNT, but we do know that you can catch rebroadcasts, or you have been able to catch rebroadcasts of NXT on the WWE Network. Now, with the WWE moving the series over to USA, now all of a sudden will they be putting that on the network as soon as it's over? Or if they are putting it on there, how long do we have to wait to watch NXT? That may be a case where you have to wait a certain amount of time, maybe a month, maybe a couple of weeks, before that episode hits the WWE Network and you can rewatch it. So maybe what us wrestling fans are forced to do is maybe DVR both, or watch one and DVR the other one, or that's something that will be interesting to watch going forward. How the two networks handle this.
Now, they only have the one show on Wednesday night so far, right? Or have they come out with other, like, oh, we're going to have this show on Wednesday and it's this and that?
The WWE will have, from what I am gathering, the WWE will have Monday Night Raw.
Right. SmackDown on Tuesdays.
Negative. SmackDown looks like it is moving to Fridays.
Oh, really? Ooh, okay.
So Tuesday may be an open slot on our wrestling calendar. Then Wednesday will be the Wednesday Night War.
Right, which is NXT, right?
NXT versus AEW.
So Monday, Wednesday.
And then off Thursday. And then Friday will be Friday Night SmackDown.
So they're pretty much just taking the entire week, like the beginning, end, and middle. Okay.
Yeah. So apparently there's not going to be anything on Tuesday. And
apparently nothing on Sunday now. So
except the pay-per-views.
Well, that's pay-per-views, but I'm talking about normal channels.
Normal channels, nothing on Sunday. You know?
So technically, AEW, if they were see how Wednesday goes, but then maybe they could take Tuesday, Thursdays, and then maybe Sundays.
I don't think they would. Sundays are generally reserved for the pay-per-view, so
that's probably why they should take them.
Yeah.
Then again, I'd like to see wrestling back on Saturday afternoons. You know, I don't know if you remember that back in the '80s.
Oh yeah,
like 12 o'clock. I'm like, oh, it's WWE. Or
well,
WWF
I'll tell you how far back I go with professional wrestling.
They didn't have rings back then. They were just in open fields.
No, I'm more recent than that.
Oh, okay, so no clubs, no rock hurling.
No clubs, no rock hurling. No, but I will tell you, and feel free to comment on this, guys, is I used to wake up at around 11:30 or 11:45 Saturday into Sunday. I believe it was, and I would watch on my TV the WWE wrestling because it aired on midnights, Saturday midnight.
That's right.
On at the time it was WOR Channel 9.
Wow.
And
that was the time it was called the WWF at the time, right?
Well, they went to Worldwide Wrestling Federation.
Yeah.
Like with 3 Worldwide Wrestling, 3 W's and an F. Right? Worldwide WWF.
Oh, wow.
Then they cut it down to 3 WWF. Then they cut it to, to that. And then finally, the World Wildlife Federation made its thing. So they went with, entertainment instead of federation.
They
so.
should have just stuck to their guns.
But that's what I used to do. And then and that was when I was like 8, 9, 10 years old. And then they came out with this wonderful thing called VCRs.
Oh, yeah.
So then what I used to do is I would still get up around midnight. And then I would record the wrestling.
Here's a question. Beta or VHS?
I was always a VHS. Oh. Always a VHS. We went... and I can remember this. We went to this place it went out of business early 80s. Oh. But we went out. My dad and I went to this place called Video Concepts. Mm-hmm. And it was right next to for anybody that remembers back that far, right next to the Quaker Ridge Mall. They had 2 stores, and they're still there. 2 stores kind of side by side. Nobody's in them now. They've been vacant for months. But one of the stores was called Video Concepts, and they sold VCRs and TVs, and there was kind of a small store. And they rent out video games for the Atari 2600.
Oh, wow.
And, they had this one cabinet that they put the video games in. And it was a small cabinet. Like you would stand up in your living room or whatever, glass cabinet or whatever.
Yeah.
And
Beta and VHS came out. VHS was the cheaper, low quality version, so that's why it was used more, because it was cheaper to make. Beta was higher quality. It was a little bit more expensive, but still it was better quality. The only reason why Beta got squashed is because of the adult film industry. They decided VHS is our format of choice. After that, Boom. Goodbye, Beta. Same thing with DVDs. They have the HD DVDs, and then you have Blu-ray.
Yes.
They were neck and neck. The only reason why Blu-ray won, the adult film industry.
There you go.
So there's your trivia and history for today in technology.
There you go. And who knows, the adult film industry may have impact.
Its own arena.
Its own arena soon in the NBA. So there you go.
Did you get your cast your vote yet for that?
I have not cast my vote yet. I'm still debating.
Didn't put your deposit down yet?
I have not put my deposit down yet on the tickets for Miami.
Yes,
and again, we don't know where Miami is going to go with that, but we know that there's a bid in for the Miami arena, so stay tuned for that.
I still have my dollar ready. If they want to say, I'll just give it to him.
Yep.
I'll take it.
Rather than having the arena named after a company in the adult film industry. So
yeah.
It's going to be interesting, going forward with the Wednesday Night Wars, seeing how well SmackDown's going to do on Fridays on Fox. That's going to be interesting as well. Fox is doing all they can to promote the WWE. We see the promos constantly as well. So, that's going to be interesting. And, I think it's an exciting time in the world of professional wrestling with, the WWE going more mainstream, going on Fox.
Yep.
AEW going on TNT. Yeah. So you got the competition now for the WWE. So it's important that if the WWE has a good character, has a good wrestler, to keep them under contract and not let them get away to AEW, because the last thing the WWE would want is to build up a character and have that character go over to AEW and make AEW even stronger than the monster that it's already going to be.
And I'm hoping that if one person comes up with a storyline or gimmick or whatever, the other company does not try to match that. Like, come up with something different and new. Don't copy each other back and forth. That's the whole reason why I think some of these other companies failed, because they tried doing that. And the only reason why WWE is still here is because they were the bigger one. And they've done it first.
Here's an exciting thing, too, that I found out. The WWE, when it goes on, is rated PG. When they go on for Raw and SmackDown, they have a PG rating. Now, they've kind of been, I think, in some of the stuff that they've been doing on occasion with their promos, especially with the top guys, have been kind of pushing that PG rating a little bit, which I like, because I think that's what wrestling fans want, is not scripted promos, is hardcore promos, and stuff like that. You don't want to turn off the kids, but at the same time, you want to be able to attract keep the older audience,
the older fans that have stuck with you these years.
Exactly, fans like me, and who are former ECW fans and things like that. Because those are the guys that keep you going. Those are the guys that bring their kids to the shows, that want to go to shows, that, if it's strictly PG and you're not doing some hardcore stuff in there, you're going to turn off me. You're going to make me want to watch AEW, because I found out AEW is going to be one step up from PG. I think that's, I want to say PG-13, but the television industry has a different rating for it.
Oh, okay.
But it's akin to PG-13. So it appears to me that from the jump, you're going to have language. You may have a little bit of raunchier things.
Well, hopefully they don't go overboard with the language. I mean,
you're not going
to. There's good things, but don't push it too much.
Exactly. I mean, I don't think they're not going to curse it all, but I think they're going to push the envelope a little bit more than the WWE is going to.
Cool.
And they may be doing a little bit more. I don't know if that constitutes blood or something like that from the wrestlers. So they're going to be a little bit more, I went to the.
You're missing a word off there, by the way.
Oh, I am?
Yeah, it goes right before skillet. You completely.
Yes, yeah. I know.
He can be taught, folks. He can be taught.
I can. Jeff is teaching me this. But here's the thing. I went to the Skillet show, and if you were there, feel free to tweet me, comment. I love talking the band Skillet. That's one of the reasons why we are Sports Skillet. I love the band. So they were at the Met in Philly this past Wednesday night, and I've seen them tour with I don't know if you call these hardcore, but bands, heavy metal bands like Buck Cherry, Papa Roach, Five Finger Death Punch. So I don't know if you guys consider them heavy metal or whatever, but I've seen them tour with them. But as of this past Wednesday, they were doing their Christian side, so they were going. With the Christian rock, they were touring with Christian rock bands when they came to the Met in Philly. And what I saw and what's going to keep Skillet going is I was in the pit, and
because you were the balloon, so they kept pushing you around, right?
Well, no. See, that's one of the things they didn't because they're touring with. The Five Finger Death Punch and those bands and pop, whatever. The pit was cheering them on, but they were also, and they were dancing to the songs and stuff like that. Don't get me wrong, but it was more subdued. There wasn't the banging around and headbutting and I push you, you push me, and there wasn't any moshing going on or. They were all raising their hands and cheering and, doing a little, kind of like chair dancing, even though there were no chairs. But
is that accurate?
Yeah. Kind of like, a little bit, dancing in place and stuff like that. Gotcha. That's what you got. But what I also noticed is there were a lot of kids there, too. And that's what's going to keep Skillet going and going strong, is that not only were the parents there, but they had brought their kids along with them.
Right, so you get that younger generation in.
So now you got the kids going to the concert, experiencing Skillet live, which I highly, highly, highly recommend. I mean, they do pyrotechnics and stuff like that. They really, and they have the video screen behind them and everything. So I really, if you can get to a Skillet concert, definitely go check them out. They are well worth the price of admission. When they come to your area, go for it, buy a ticket, check them out. They put on an awesome show. And even, I'll tell you what, even when I was at our former job, Lockheed Martin, I would talk to people about Skillet, and they would say that, they do put on one of the best shows. The only other band I can compare them to when they bring out everything, all their big guns and everything. The only other band that I could compare them to is Kiss for the live experience. Now, sometimes they don't, like Wednesday night, they didn't have their full gamut of everything because it was a more intimate arena, and they were on stage at the Met. If you can picture like a concert hall, that type of thing, that's what the Met is kind of like.
Right.
So it was a smaller, more intimate venue. So they weren't allowed to shoot off pyrotechnics, but they did bring as much as they possibly could. The screen.
The sparklers, right?
Well, they had like John, the lead singer, had a I don't know if it was like liquid nitrogen that he strapped to his arms, and he would press it, kind of like a fire extinguisher, and you would see all this fog start spilling out and everything.
That's cool.
It was really cool, and they had the risers on both sides of Jen Ledger's drum kit for Corey and stuff to go up and down on, and so they and they did stuff with the lighting and all that, and so they did bring out as much as they possibly could.
Cool.
Which was cool. Great show, but like I said, I highly recommend, going to their live show. But like I said, what I think the WWE and AEW have to do is cater to that. You can't use your hardcore fans like me, but you also have to remember, too, and to take into account that you want us to bring our kids to your shows, to your live events. So you got to
cater to the audience.
Cater to the audience and make sure that you don't go too overboard.
Good point.
With that. So that's going to wrap up our wrestling discussion, I think, for this week. So it is now 3 o'clock. So I want to thank everybody for tuning into our live stream today. Any more comments from YouTube or no?
Nope.
Okay, we are good to go on YouTube. So thanks everybody for joining in. If you missed any portion of the show, and I say this every Sunday morning at 11 a.m., go back in, listen to it. I think we had an awesome show today, Jeff.
Absolutely.
Got in a lot of good discussions. Anything we didn't get into, or some topics that we did talk about today, we'll be bringing up Sunday morning at 11 a.m. on Fox Sports Radio 920 The Jersey. Or you can download our app or just listen live on sportsskillerradio.com. We will have my brother Jeff in studio. We may have Kelly there.
I might not be there because Kelly will be there, and she'll probably kill me after blaming her for being sick.
Yeah, well, you never know with Kelly, depending on what type of mood Kelly's in, you never know, But Kelly likes to joke around a lot, has some good topics and stuff like that. But we will see if Kelly will be in studio. But we do know that I will be there, that you will be there, Jeff. My brother Jeff will be there as well. So, again, Fox Sports Radio 920 The Jersey or sportskillerradio.com. Download the app. We want you to hit the subscribe button over here on our YouTube channel so every Friday when we go live, you're there with us and you can comment along. And as I say, we talk about anything and everything. NASCAR to pro wrestling, Phillies, Mets, NFL, baseball, basketball, hockey is going to be starting as well. And that's one of the things we can do with our Friday live stream. We can go a little bit longer than we can with our show on Fox. So
delve into subjects we normally wouldn't.
Exactly. On our Fox show. So, again, you want to be alerted. So the best thing you can do is go in, download the app, and follow us on our social media channels, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Just do a search for Sports Skillet. Like our page. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram. We want to hear your comments. We'll comment back. We're not always right. We may be wrong on some of our takes. I'm getting a lot of comments on my Facebook page about some of the things I Facebooked out last night. And yes, I was wrong. And some of the things I said about the Eagles losing the game, I said, Carson Wentz may have just cost the Eagles the game. And I thought at that point that he probably did. But the Eagles came back and won the game. So there you have it. I'm not always right. Tell me when I'm wrong. Let's have a discussion. That's what sports is about. Friendly discussion here. Impassioned arguments. That's what we do. So let me know what you guys think. Thank you guys for tuning in today. And we'll be back next Friday afternoon during the 12 o'clock hour with our Sports Skillet live stream. And
have a good weekend, everybody.
Have a good weekend. Enjoy. And I will say, I can't say go Eagles, but I will say go Saints. We need a win by the Saints. Get the Cowboys that one loss. So I'll be rooting for the Saints on Sunday. Till then, remember, Sunday morning, 11 o'clock. Next Friday, noontime hour, we will be back here. Have a great weekend, everybody, and enjoy the football games this week. Bye. Hopefully bye, if I can ever get the computer working. Play.
Yeah. That would help.
It would help if it would actually load. Technical difficulties.
Well, you know what? At least it's at the end of the
Now say this out loud as you're driving around in your car.
Join Sports Skillet.
Have a great weekend, everybody.
So how do you like it?
So what is it? I'm curious.
You you like it like this?
My God, do we love football.
Or like this?
I love the sport of baseball.
And what about this?
You can have a sports show without all the vicious talk.
Simple human decency.
Whatever it is that you like,
Yeah, I like chaos.
we've got it covered.
Right?
It's sports the way you like it.
My friends, you may not know this. It's got everything you want.
Local and national sports talk that's fresh, in season, and FDA approved. If it's hot, you'll find it cooking with Jeff, Jay, and Kelly. They don't just stir the pot, they add more flavor than the other guys. Get ready to dig in and taste some Sports Skillet.
Tastes good.